Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled, Women Are More Likely to Cheat Than Men, Here's Why. And guys, this article is from originated from Australia, some Australian newspaper, whatever, and then was picked up by the New York Post, I believe it's the New York Post, essentially discussing the research that's been done, pretty much proving that guess what, women are bigger cheaters than men. And here's the question. Well, how could that possibly be? Because after all, I thought it was men that are portrayed as the big cheaters in all the movies and television and songs on the radio. You've all seen them. It's the men who are the bad guys, and it's the women who are the sweet, innocent angels that are being hurt all the time by these heartless SOBs. I hope you guys are picking up on my sarcasm there, but it's all bullshit. But that's the narrative. That's the narrative that's been going on as long as I can remember, as far back as I watched movies and TV when I was a kid, heard all the sappy songs on the radio. But in reality, it's the opposite. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely a lot of guys. There are guys out there, let me correct that definitely cheat and break hearts and are deceitful and are scumbags, the Chad and Tyrones. But by and large, the numbers are higher with the women that are cheating, particularly nowadays, thanks to the feminist movement and the S-word revolution and how you can't be empowered unless you are doing these awful things that you hear my stories. And I've been doing this now for 2.5 years, give or take. I've done easily about 1,200 videos between this channel and my other channel, and you guys have seen a hell of a lot of them, pretty much proving over and over again this is the case. And they got the scientific research to back it up. So I'm going to go through this article here. It's definitely interesting and entertaining. But also, guys, stick with me to the end, because at the end, I'm going to read some comments from different people around the world. And it's very interesting to see where you're going to see some people calling BS to this and some people saying it's completely true. And the interesting thing is who are going to be the ones calling BS to this and who are the ones going to be calling it true. It's definitely eye-opening. So it starts off, says here, science is finding that women struggle more than men when it comes to staying faithful in relationships. Gee, we never picked up on that, huh, guys? Says here that this is being quoted, even when your marriage is good, you still miss that rush of feeling so excited that you can't eat or sleep when you're having such an intense time emotionally and sexually with a new person. That's what I kept going after and what I couldn't say no to. Well, no guy would say that, so that's obviously coming from a woman. That's how Annika, 45 from Melbourne, describes her experiences with cheating, and she's far from alone. According to a growing body of research, many women in long-term relationships are S-word adventurous and have secret lovers. Look at all the stories I've done, guys, and you see this over and over again, and I'm sure there are plenty of you guys that sadly this happened to. The view that it's mostly men who cheat because their partners lose interest in sex is outdated. Science says it's actually women who struggle more with monogamy because they get very bored in the bedroom. Women crave the sexual variety, while some stifle their desire, others will be unfaithful. Well, again, nowadays, where, like I said, you can't be empowered unless you're hooking up with dudes left and right, and how it's becoming more of a common thing, how sadly the open relationship, open marriage, polyamory BS is being promoted. You're getting more of this over and over again, and it all ends in disaster. Wednesday, Martin, an anthropologist and author of Untrue, refers to the new research as the Great Correction. Martin interviewed dozens of sociologists, sex researchers, and anthropologists for her book on female infidelity, and says the sad, sorry picture painted of the female libido is grossly wrong. It is alive and kicking and eager to be satisfied. And I might add, this is a woman saying this, and based on her research. She says here, the new research is correcting false notions that women have lesser libidos, that women are more naturally monogamous, and that it's easier for women to partner for life, explains Martin. She says women don't like sex less than men, but they do get bored of the S-word sameness. Well, you know what? There is definitely a lot of truth to that, and has been my life experience, and I'm sure a lot of you guys picked up on this, that women get bored very easily. And I don't just mean, in terms of like the bedroom, because I'm not saying women get bored with me in the bedroom. I would never suggest that. But what I'm saying is women get bored easily with everything. I mean, as a personal trainer, working with female clients is way more demanding and a pain in the ass than working with dudes, because you work with a bunch of guys, and with guys you can pretty much do the same thing all the time. I mean, there's variety in the workouts, but pretty much the core stuff. When it comes to women as a personal trainer, they get bored so freaking easily that it has to be completely new all the time, or they just start getting bored and they'll drop you. And I'm sure you guys in the fitness industry know this. Women get bored that easily. And it also goes along with dating and all that thing. You know, they want something new all the time. While most guys are all about routine. We're cool with getting in a routine, and that's that. But women get bored easily, especially, you know, when it comes to dating and all that. So it's no surprise eventually they step out, because men are we're wired differently. And this is why, guys, you do relationships, you got to mix it up from time to time. You got to take her to do different things, different days of the week, spice things up whenever you can, because otherwise, sadly, goes on, says, spontaneous desire is when you suddenly think it would be nice to have you know what. It comes over like hunger or thirst, says Martin. Responsive or triggered desire occurs when something suggests the idea of sex to you. You're watching or reading something, or a partner initiates a S-word encounter, and you get turned on. For that type of desire, women's libidos are every bit as strong as men's. We've internalized this idea that men are the randier sex, and that's untrue. It says here, the reasons women cheat. Martin says the myth of women cheat for emotional reasons, while men cheat for S-word reasons, is also being overturned. She cites research by Missouri State University on a group of women who use the Ashley Madison website specifically to cheat. Remember that whole fiasco with the Ashley Madison website and how it got all leaked online? She says the research explodes several of the most dearly held notions about female infidelity. That women cheat only when they're unhappy in their marriage. That unlike men, they seek emotional connection, not S-word gratification. And that women just stumble into affairs, says Martin. There is no stumbling into affairs, and it ain't just about emotions. It is about getting sausage. But the big thing is attention and validation. That is always the common thing. Attention and validation and excitement. And Chad and Tyrone, the bad boys, always give the girls excitement because they are unpredictable. They never know when Chad or Tyrone is going to call next or text next. They may not respond to a text for a week. They don't know who Chad or Tyrone, how they feel, what they're doing, any of that stuff. And it keeps them on their toes. It keeps them excited. Because typical nice guys don't keep women on their toes. They're predictable as can be. So a nice guy, all he does is puts himself first, checks her on her BS, mixes things up, and is unpredictable. He'll do all right, for the most part. It says the women's study went on the site, created a profile, and vetted candidates, met them in person, and auditioned them. This was a very intentional process. They wanted to find partners for sex. They reported that being in a sexless or orgasmless marriages, and they simply wanted what they couldn't get at home. But most were otherwise happily partnered or married, and these affairs were a way for them to remain in their primary relationships. So there goes the myth that women who cheat are unhappily married. How many times in these stories that they claim they're happy in the marriages and all that, but they just want to get some sausage and attention elsewhere. That's what happens in all these stories I do. Another critical piece of research from Dr. Marta Miena at the University of Nevada found the institutionalization in a long-term partnership dampens women's S-word desire more than men's. Men who have regular sex with their partners are more sexually satisfied, or more satisfied sexually and with their relationship, but it's not the same for the women. She says now sex researchers are entertaining the possibility that women simply need variety and novelty of S-word experience more than men do, Martin says. What I tell you earlier about women and variety and need to mix things up. Back to my personal training experiences. You know, women are more likely to pay for personal trainers because they want to be safe and do things right. But goddamn it, you better mix things up, otherwise they're going to get bored and move on. This is, like I said, why I prefer dudes. And right here, variety. It's a notion women like Gabriella, 28 from Sydney, have been aware for some time. She says, I've had lots of affairs since my first long-term relationship when I was at university. I love sex and I get bored easily. Ding, ding, ding. But men take an affair as an affront to their masculinity. They all think they should be enough for me, and when I try to discuss ways of keeping the interest alive, they treat me like it's not normal. What should normal be, she says. A woman who lies back and puts up with boring sex just for the sake of it? That's the story women have been sold to, and it's just wrong. Oh, okay. So in other words, so she's saying it's just wrong, and she gets bored, so therefore she's allowed to go hook up with as many people as she wants. Okay, then why can't men do the same thing? Because the women would go freaking crazy if men did that. She is 28, her prime. Australia, might add, where you Australian folks tell me the feminist movement is quite strong, so no surprise there. But this same gal, then, she's going to want to get married, have a ring, and can you imagine what she's going to do to that guy she settles down with? Because you think she's going to change? Oh, hell no. Further exploding the myth that women are made for monogamy is the work of biophysiologist Meredith Chivers at Queen's University. Chivers and her team invited men and women to watch PORN when they have monitors on their bodies to measure their physical response and blood flow, which showed their S-word arousal. Straight men were mostly turned on by images of heterosexual sex and women having you-know-what with women, but the heterosexual women had more of a varied arousal menu. Women's bodies responded to men having you-know-what with men, women having you-know-what with women, men and women having you-know-what, and images of a hard-on. We traditionally think men get turned on by everything, and the truth is that women's body responds to more S-word stimuli, says Martin. I'm not surprised about that. Says here, goes on, says, looking after lust and libido. So does the unleashed female libido always lead to infidelity? It doesn't have to, says Martin. Not if women can talk frankly to their partner about their desire for S-word variety and adventure. She says this can avoid the inevitable boredom that besets many long-term relationships. So I do agree with that element in terms of the woman needs to communicate in a healthy manner in a way that her guy understands, not dropping hints, not speaking in innuendos, hoping he figures it out, or my personal favorite, he should know what I'm thinking. She needs to speak and communicate with her guy that a variety and all that stuff. I'm cool with that as long as she's trying to help the dude out. And that guy then should, if again, I'm cool with this, find ways to mix things up, spice things up both in the bedroom as well as their dating life and all that. And yeah, I like routine, I'll be honest with you guys, but I get the need for mixing shit up and all that, so that's fine. But the problem is, so many women want their guys to be mind readers. How many of you guys have been in a situation like that where she gets pissed off at you because you can't read her freaking mind? Okay, we're not a bunch of Professor Xaviers walking around here and can read minds, okay? It doesn't work that way. So women, the 4% of you that watch this, be direct with your man. Let him know what you're thinking and work with him. Help him. And that can save a whole lot of shit. At least somewhat. Says here, women start providing service sex. He wants it. I really don't, but I will get over with it. Then women get into the cycle of thinking, I guess I don't really like the sex. It's actually that we're not liking sex with the partner they've had for many years, she explains. A simple thing couples can do is start a new exciting activity together, such as learning how to kayak or dance together. Well, I don't think kayaking is going to be the same as the rolling in the hay feeling for her, but okay, I'm all for the variety. Couples get a rush of neurochemicals and hormones similar to when we experience puppy love. So you can get that feeling of excitement without going outside of your relationship, she explains. She says, imagine how much better relationships would be if couples understood that when a woman starts to feel sexually bored, this doesn't have to mean the end. Think of the marriages and relationships that could be improved if women could discuss their desire for S-word adventure and work with their partner to find solutions that bring them closer together. What she just said there, if she communicates. But I've said so many times before, for you relationship guys, communication is key. If you can't communicate with your girl and she's not communicating with you, it ain't going anywhere. So many problems arise from the breakdown of communication or lack of communication. So for you ladies watching this, all 4% of you, communicate with your guy. You're not happy with something, whatever, he's not a fucking mind reader, so speak to him. And guys, try to open her up, get her talking, and do mix things up for your relationship, guys, and you'll be amazed at the impact it has. But at the end of the day, like I said, how many stories have I done with the gal breaking up the marriage, breaking up the relationship through the outside extramarital affairs. It's terrible. And here, right here, proves, research has proven that. Now, guys, real quick, I'm going to read a few comments because I told you I'd save this for the end. And you're going to see here, and I use a few, but there's way more, and I'll connect the link to the article. This is from a guy. He says, "This is no surprise. I'm in my 30s and 40s, women were often the pursuer than men. More often than not, women were the cheaters. I know one woman that cheated frequently with different men. Her excuse was, my husband doesn't pay attention to me." That's her excuse. Probably she just was dying for the attention and validation. She often accused her husband of cheating. Shocker. She did so to justify her own infidelity or give her an excuse to cheat with her next man. That's a common thing in a lot of these stories. The gal accuses the guy of the cheating, and in her mind, everybody's a cheater, so therefore I should do it, and it also gives her a pass in her mind. Another one, this is from a guy. Now listen to this. This guy says, "This article may make some conclusions that all married women cheat, and this is a cynical conclusion. I simply don't believe it. They are your mothers, wives, and sisters, and most are faithful to their husbands. In fact, I don't give a hoot what some researchers found. Most women want monogamous relationships with one faithful husband. Sure, some run around and is eventually exposed. But I was raised with a respectful attitude towards women and found the most to be moral and love their families. Call me naive if you wish, but that is my opinion." This guy is fucking naive as all hell. This is from a guy. This is a blue pill guy right here. These are your mothers, wives, and sisters. Guess what? They cheat too. And again, look at all the stories I've been doing over the last 2.5 years. I mean, if there's anybody that knows this is bullshit, it's me. Right? But this idea here, this is the type of guy that gets cheated on. This is the guy that would have no idea that his wife's hooked up with like 100 dudes. Kid you not. Next one. This is from a woman. She says, and I quote, "I was a cheater. I'm a female who was in love with my husband. A friend called me a nympho, but I wasn't. When my husband began having a problem, low testosterone, we stopped having sex. He didn't want to take testosterone shots. All my relationships started with sex. I now understand how men can say they still love their wives and cheat. For me, it was a strong need, and I cheated daily. Daily. I don't condemn what I did. In other words, I don't regret what I did. I probably never should have married or made a commitment, but I wanted children and believe a marriage is best for raising children. Oh boy, I'm in for a lot of replies." Yeah, she's a piece of garbage, but at least she can admit it. Right there. So you got the person who says this article's bullshit. The women don't do that, and that's a guy. And you have someone saying that it is accurate, and it's a woman. There you go. Another one. This is from a dude. Says here, "I've had many conversations with my male..." Oh, this is, I think, a woman. "I've had many conversations with my male friends and simply told them if they're planning on getting married, very high probability she's going to cheat on you. It's something you have to accept because you can't watch them 24/7. I wouldn't waste 5 minutes worrying about it." That's from a woman. Another woman. And last one, this is from a dude. Says here, "Women cheat much more than men. Controlled by their emotions, zero impulse control, disregard for long-term consequences, bombarded with male attention, both IRL and through social media all day, every day. It is a super fire recipe for infidelity. If there's a guy over the age of 18 who's a big enough sucker to believe his girlfriend or wife is going to be faithful, he almost deserves what is coming. Almost." There you go. And there are plenty more comments there. But again, naive guys... I only did 4 comments. There are plenty of naive guys, and I think it's not true, that this a huge exaggeration or whatever. But you got women coming on there saying, yeah, this is what happens. So this is one time where I'd say, actually listen to the women. It is what it is. So guys, you dating a relationship, guys, be aware of these types of things as you embark on your relationship journeys, if you will. But those that you're in it and you really want to make it work to the best you can, communication. But it takes 2. You can try to communicate all you want, but if she is not communicating, she's not trying to open up and listen to you or whatever, well, that tells you everything you need to know. So there you go, guys. The scientific research has proven it, what we've been all saying all along. And yet, interestingly, the narrative says the opposite. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you come across a good article you'd like me to cover, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com, and I'll definitely cover it down the road. And this, of course, goes for personal stories or anything crazy you'd like me to cover here or the other channel. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.